Hello friends. Every day, with us, learn a little more knowledge. In the world, most countries have at least one enemy, and often it is their neighbor. So are Algeria and Morocco. They hate each other so much that they are willing to leave poor people to buy combat weapons. Why do they do so? Let's find out in this video. In 1830, in the name of helping the backward land, France invaded Algeria with cannons, killed and died more than 800,000 indigenous people. After that, France quickly ruled Algeria. Unlike its neighbor, Algeria, Morocco has a stronger army and fierce resistance, but it is not a rival to France. Before being invaded, their king cleverly met the British and signed a treaty in 1856. The content of the treaty is that Morocco allows the British to freely travel, free immigration and trade, also as exempted from different taxes. Thus, after capturing Algeria, even though France wanted to, it still could not invade Morocco because they had British protection. However, Morocco's independence was constantly threatened by the invasion of Spain, which kept ports along the coast for trade. In the War of 1859 to 1860, Morocco was defeated and suffered heavy reparations that amounted to more than the national budget. To repay the debt, they borrowed money from England and France, and confiscated the fertile lands of the tribes to sell to the Europeans. Dissatisfied with the king's growing weakness, many uprisings took place, causing chaos in the country. Fearing that the people would overthrow the throne as well as pressure from an unpaid debt, the king of Morocco asked France for help. This is very similar to the French speculation. Before that, France had divided the sphere of influence with other European powers, and Morocco was a part of France. In 1912, the Treaty of Fez was signed. Accordingly, Morocco became a protectorate. This means that they enjoy some autonomy in internal affairs, while foreign affairs and defense are controlled by France. So, although Algeria and Morocco were both invaded, their fates were completely different. After World War II, France gradually became weaker. Especially after the defeat against three Indo-Chinese countries in 1954. Morocco fought with protests. They received support from the United States and gained independence through negotiations in 1956. In contrast, Algeria waged a bloody resistance, sacrificing more than 2 million people to drive out France and gain independence in 1962. Soon, instead of enjoying peace, the two neighboring countries clashed. They disputed two lands called Tindouf and Becher. Historically, the area was mostly uninhabited because of the barren land and lack of water. It was not until 1950, when coal and iron ore deposits were discovered, that France annexed Tindouf and Becher in Algeria. Morocco claims this land as their own, but there is no evidence to prove it. In 1963, two neighboring countries had a battle because they could not compromise. Algeria was helped by socialist side as Cuba and Egypt. And Morocco is supported by France. However, their battle was not too fierce because it only took place on a small scale. After more than a month, a ceasefire between the two sides was signed, with the Organization of African Unity as mediator. The results: Tindouf and Becher are temporarily under Algerian administration. But resources are exploited by both countries. While the territorial issue has not been completely resolved, in 1975 another event led them to continue their enmity. Under pressure to decolonize from the United Nations, as well as at the request of Morocco, Spain abandoned its colony of Western Sahara. At that time, this land was inhabited by hundreds of thousands of Sahrawis, and no one cared about their fate. The Moroccan invaders of Western Sahara claimed the land as its own, before Spain colonized it. Algeria has stood in the name of justice and sided with Sahrawi, supporting them to wage a guerrilla war for independence. However, in reality, Algeria also wanted to invade Western Sahara because it needed a sea route to replace the old route through the Strait of Gibraltar. In addition, this is also a resource-rich area with abundant reserves of phosphate or used as fertilizer. Therefore, Algeria has supported the Sahrawi people to fight Morocco for more than 2 decades. In 1991, the ceasefire was signed with the UN supervision. Therefore, Morocco controls 80% of the territory of West Sahara, the rest belongs to Sahrawi. In the next 10 years, Algeria had a civil war between the government army and the extremist Islamic warriors. Morocco was accused of supporting extremist Islamic warriors. And the hostility between them has no way out. Currently, these two countries still consider each other as enemies. Sometimes they have online quarrels, because the opponent infringes on the border or attacks the people. Although there are still disputes and conflicts, the two countries do not sit down to solve together. Both countries are trying to strengthen their military strength for defense. From 2005 to 2015, Morocco used an average of about $5 billion each year to purchase modern weapons. So does Algeria, which also uses more than $10 billion to have a larger military power than Morocco. Meanwhile, both countries lack roads, schools and hospitals, and people live in poverty. Therefore, scholars around the world often describe the arms race between Algeria and Morocco as a way of self-destruction of their own countries. They are blood-related countries but are in conflict with each other. Both countries share a common Berber Arab origin, they share a common school of Sunni Islam. Moreover, both are countries rich in famous natural resources in the world such as oil, iron ore, phosphate. In short, the fate of a nation sometimes depends on the solutions and vision of the leaders. A wise leader will benefit the people, and vice versa, the people will suffer. Video ends here. Thank you all for watching and liking it. If you find the video useful, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Goodbye and see you again.